Veronica's voice sliced through the buzz of conversation at her law firm's grand opening like a razor. I stood there in my finest suit, clutching a glass of champagne I'd paid for, watching her address a crowd of lawyers gathered to celebrate her new practice in downtown Charlotte. My name's Lucas. I'm 39, and I've been married to Veronica for 8 years. I'm a financial consultant, steady work that covers expenses and keeps my credit strong. It's not flashy, not the kind of job that gets you cocktail party invitations. But I was the one who made this event happen. Veronica raised her champagne glass toward me, and every eye in the room turned my way. Young attorneys in tailored suits, senior partners with their polished grins, law school friends who'd climbed to top firms, all staring at me like I was some kind of display. Lucas has been so patient, backing my career, she said, her tone dripping with that mix of charm and sharpness she wielded so well. Co-signing loans, securing credit lines, ensuring I could focus on what truly counted. But now that I'm established, she pulled an envelope from her bag with a dramatic flourish. These are divorce papers. I think it's time I moved on to someone better suited to my new status. The room fell silent for a heartbeat. Then a chuckle broke out, followed by another. Soon half the crowd was laughing as if this was the cleverest punchline they'd heard all week. A few even clapped. I stared at the envelope in her perfectly manicured hand. Divorce papers. At her firm's opening, in front of her peers, she'd orchestrated this, planned every moment. Turned me into a prop in her performance. Don't look so stunned, Lucas, she said, pressing the envelope into my hands. You must have seen this coming. Look around. She waved at the sleek office, the high-end furniture, the sharply dressed guests. This is my world now. You were just temporary. Someone behind me muttered, harsh but clever. No need to drag it out. Another voice added, she's got nerve. I admire that. I stood there, feeling their gazes, feeling the weight of their opinions. 8 years of marriage reduced to a party trick. I tucked the envelope into my jacket pocket. Didn't say a word, just walked to the exit. Lucas, don't make a scene, Veronica called after me. We'll sort out the details later. Stay for a drink. I kept moving. But something cold and strategic was already taking shape in my mind. Something that told me Veronica didn't fully grasp what she'd just discarded. The drive home gave me time to reflect on how we'd ended up here. 8 years ago, Veronica was a paralegal with big ambitions and bigger debts. She was brilliant, driven, and flat broke. Law school wasn't cheap, and her credit was already maxed out from undergrad loans. That's where I stepped in. My consulting business was thriving, my credit score impeccable, 842 to be precise. When Veronica got into law school, she couldn't secure the loans she needed. Banks required a cosigner with solid income and clean credit. Just for now, she'd said, sitting at my dining table, loan forms spread out like a war plan. Once I'm established, I'll refinance everything in my name. You'll be off the hook. I trusted her. More than that, I wanted to see her succeed. So I signed for $68,000 in law school loans. Then another $15,000 for bar exam prep. Then $37,000 more when she decided a Master of Laws degree in corporate litigation was essential. But the demands didn't end after she graduated. I need to look professional, she'd explained, asking me to co-sign a credit line for her wardrobe. $25,000 for suits, shoes, and accessories to blend in at networking events. Then came the tech package for her new firm. Legal research tools, case management software, top-tier computers and servers. Another $40,000 in business credit tied to my personal guarantee. Her professional liability insurance needed a backer, too. The office lease required someone with strong credit to secure the rent. The legal databases, bar association fees, conference costs, continuing education courses. Everything needed Lucas's signature on the dotted line. I kept meticulous records, naturally. Spreadsheets tracking every cent, every guarantee, every promise to take care of this myself once things settle. The total. $223,000 in loans, credit lines, and personal guarantees. All tied to my credit, my income, my reputation with lenders. And through it all, Veronica grew colder, more dismissive. She started introducing me as my husband instead of by name. Then just, this is Lucas, with no hint of who I was or why I mattered. That night was just the final act in a slow unraveling. The signs had been there. Late nights at the office with colleagues I'd never met. Weekend trips to legal conferences where spouses weren't welcome. Conversations that stopped when I walked in. But I kept signing, kept backing loans, kept believing that supporting her goals would strengthen our marriage. That night showed how wrong I was. I sat in my truck outside our house for an hour before going in. Not because I was heartbroken, but because I was planning. Veronica had made a critical error that night. She'd assumed my support was separate from my value, that she could take everything I'd provided, build her career on my credit and guarantees, then toss me aside like a stepping stone. But here's what she didn't understand about finance. Remove the foundation and everything built on it collapses. I pulled out my phone and started making calls. First to my attorney, not a divorce lawyer, though I'd need one soon. I called James Wright, who handled my business contracts and knew exactly what financial risks I was carrying for Veronica's career. Lucas, it's nearly 11 p.m. Everything all right? I need you to review every document I've signed for Veronica's firm. Every co-signature, every guarantee, every backing. I want to know my options for pulling out. What happened? She handed me divorce papers at her firm's opening, turned it into a spectacle. James paused. Good Lord. All right, I'll be in my office by 7 a.m. Bring everything. Next, I called my accountant, then my banker. By midnight, I had a clear view of the leverage I held over Veronica's professional life. She'd built everything on credit I'd secured. The business loan for her office space relied on my guarantee, meaning the bank could pursue me if she defaulted. The equipment financing for her computers and legal software was in my name. Her professional liability insurance listed me as the guarantor. Even her legal research subscriptions were tied to a business credit card that needed my approval for charges over $5,000. The irony was that Veronica, despite her legal expertise, never bothered to read the fine print. Most agreements allowed me to withdraw my guarantee with 30 days' notice. Some could be terminated immediately if the borrower's circumstances changed significantly. A divorce certainly counted as a major change. I brewed coffee and started drafting letters, notices of guarantee withdrawal, termination of cosigner agreements, cancellation of credit line support, each one precise, legally airtight, and ruinous to Veronica's ability to run her firm. By dawn, I had 17 letters ready to send. Certified mail. Return receipt requested. I also had a strategy. Veronica thought she'd shamed me in front of her peers, but shame fades. Financial ruin lasts. She was about to learn the difference between having a career and having the credit to sustain it. I showered, put on my sharpest suit, and headed to the post office. Then to my attorney's office. Then to the bank. Veronica had started this with divorce papers at a cocktail party. I was going to end it with calculated precision. The letters went out Monday morning. By Tuesday afternoon, my phone was ringing. Lucas, we need to talk. Veronica's voice was tense, controlled, professional. I received some troubling notices. Did you? That's unfortunate. Don't play games. These withdrawals could cripple my firm. We need to handle this maturely. I was in my office, gazing at Charlotte's skyline through floor-to-ceiling windows. 39 stories up, where my consulting firm had leased space for 5 years. The same office where I'd reviewed Veronica's loan forms and signed my name to her ambitions. I thought we were done talking, I said. Wasn't that the point of Saturday? That was poorly executed, I'll admit. But you can't ruin my business over hurt feelings. Your hurt feelings. Like I was a kid throwing a fit instead of the man who'd bankrolled her career. I'm not ruining anything, Veronica. I'm simply stepping back from financially supporting someone who publicly declared she no longer wants me in her life. This is separate. This is business. No, this was always business. You just convinced me it was something more. She went quiet. When she spoke again, her lawyer voice was in full force. Measured, precise, threatening. If you move forward with these withdrawals, you'll violate our marital agreement to support each other's careers. I can sue you for interfering with my business relationships. I nearly laughed. Veronica, you served me divorce papers at a cocktail party. I think our marital agreement is null and void. The financial commitments are separate from the marriage. You can't just I can. James Wright reviewed every contract we signed. Most have clauses allowing withdrawal if circumstances change. Divorce qualifies. James Wright, you went to my colleague's husband. That stopped me. What did you say? James Wright. His wife, Patricia, is in my practice group. They've been married 12 years. The pieces fell into place. Patricia Wright. The blonde who'd stood next to Veronica when she handed me the divorce papers. The one who'd laughed the hardest when Veronica called me her starter husband. You knew, I said slowly. You knew I'd likely call James for advice. You knew his wife would tell him what happened at your party. I knew you'd need a lawyer for the divorce. James is capable, but that wasn't the point. This was about control. Veronica had staged Saturday night knowing my attorney was married to someone in her circle. She'd bet I'd be too humiliated to act aggressively if it meant exposing my shame to her legal network. She'd misjudged. Veronica, let me ask you something. In all your legal training, did you ever study mutually assured destruction? What? It's when both sides can destroy each other, so neither acts. It only works when both care equally about the outcome. I don't follow. You think I won't follow through because it might embarrass me in front of your colleagues. You think I care what Patricia Wright tells James about our marriage? I stared at the skyline, at the city where I'd built my business and reputation without needing anyone's approval. But here's the thing, Veronica. You need my credit to survive. I don't need your colleagues' approval to thrive. You've got more to lose than I do. Lucas, be reasonable. We can work this out. I am being reasonable. I'm treating this like the business deal you've turned it into. The line went silent. When she spoke again, her voice was quieter, less confident. What do you want? I want you to understand what you discarded on Saturday. I want you to see that your starter husband was holding up your entire career. And then what? Then you can figure out how to practice law without me. By Thursday morning, the first responses arrived. The business loan company acknowledged my withdrawal and informed Veronica she'd need to provide new collateral or pay down $67,000 within 30 days. The equipment financing company followed. Without my guarantee, Veronica had to pay off $42,000 immediately or return the computers, servers, and software that powered her firm. The real blow came Friday afternoon. Her professional liability insurance was canceled. No insurance, no practice, that's the rule. I was reviewing reports when my assistant buzzed me. Mr. Foster, Veronica Foster is here. She says it's urgent. Let her in. Veronica entered my office looking like she hadn't slept in days. Her perfect hair was in a messy ponytail, and she wore jeans instead of her designer suits. Her eyes were red. Lucas, please, we need to talk. I gestured to the chair across my desk, the same one where she'd sat when she needed my signature for her career. I'm listening. My insurance is gone. The bank wants $67,000 by next Friday or they'll call the loan. The equipment company is threatening to take everything. That's tough. Don't do this. Don't be cruel. I leaned back and looked at her. Really looked at her. 8 years of marriage and I was seeing her clearly for the first time. Veronica, do you remember what you said when you first asked me to co-sign your law school loans? That was 8 years ago. You said, I just need someone to believe in me until I can believe in myself. You said investing in your future was investing in our future. She nodded, tears welling up. So I believed in you. I co-signed $120,000 in education loans. I guaranteed $40,000 in business credit. I backed your equipment, your insurance, your lease. $223,000 of my credit for your dreams. I know, I'm thankful, are you? Because on Saturday you told a room full of lawyers I was temporary, that I'd served my purpose and could be discarded. I didn't mean it like that. You did. You thought you could take everything I'd given and walk away clean. You thought your law degree made you independent of the man who funded it. I pulled a folder from my drawer. Copies of every loan, every guarantee, every document tying my finances to hers. But here's what you missed, Veronica. When you build something on someone else's foundation, you better make sure they want to stay. She stared at the folder. What do you want me to do? I want you to tell your colleagues that your starter husband was your financial backbone. I want you to admit your firm was built on credit you couldn't secure alone. I can't. It'd ruin my reputation. Your reputation is already ruined. Your firm is collapsing. Your insurance is gone and your colleagues will soon know you can't manage your finances. The only question is whether you've learned anything. She sat silently for a long moment. How did I mess this up so badly? She whispered. You bought into your own narrative, I said. You forgot that success built on someone else's foundation isn't truly yours. Saturday morning, I got the call I'd expected. Lucas, this is Patricia Wright. We need to discuss Veronica's situation. Patricia, the woman who'd laughed when Veronica handed me divorce papers, the wife of my attorney calling to fix her colleague's mess. What situation, Patricia? Don't play dumb. Veronica's firm is in chaos because you pulled your financial support. This affects more than just her. Interesting. How does it affect you? We plan to send cases her way. Clients need her expertise. If her firm fails, it impacts our whole network. Now I got it. Veronica hadn't just built her firm on my credit. She'd relied on promised referrals from attorneys who expected her to be dependable. My withdrawal wasn't just tanking her business. It was embarrassing those who'd endorsed her. Patricia, I'm curious. When Veronica served me divorce papers, did she mention her firm depended entirely on my financial backing? Silence. Because I'm guessing she presented herself as a self-made success. A lawyer building her firm through talent and grit. Her credentials speak for themselves. Do they? Because from my perspective, her credentials include 8 years of using my credit while planning to ditch me once she didn't need my signature. You're being spiteful, I'm being pragmatic. Veronica made it clear our partnership is over. I'm just agreeing with her. What will it take to fix this? And there it was, the real reason for the call. Veronica's colleagues were pressuring her to resolve this because her failure reflected poorly on their judgment. It's simple, Patricia. Veronica needs to publicly admit her firm was built on financial support she's no longer entitled to. She needs to tell her peers her starter husband was her business partner. She'll never agree. Then her firm will collapse, and everyone who sent her clients will look like they didn't vet her financial stability. I could hear Patricia's breathing. This will hurt innocent clients too, she said finally. Veronica should have considered that before humiliating the person funding her firm. So there's no compromise. I looked out my window at the city below. Somewhere Veronica was likely in her office, staring at bills she couldn't pay and databases she couldn't access. There's one option, I said. What? Veronica can buy out my guarantees. All $223,000. Pay off every loan, every credit line, every obligation with my name on it. Once she's truly independent, she can practice however she wants. She doesn't have that money. Then she's not really independent, is she? Patricia was quiet for a long moment. This is about more than money, isn't it? Yes, it's about respect. It's about understanding that partnership means partnership, not exploitation. It's about earning something versus being handed it. And if she can't pay, then she'll have to rebuild her career the way she built it the first time, by finding someone willing to believe in her and back her dreams. I paused, letting it sink in. Of course, this time everyone will know what kind of partner she is. The call ended. By Monday morning, I expected Veronica would fully grasp what she'd thrown away. Monday morning brought 97 missed calls. I was sipping coffee when my phone started buzzing at 6 a.m. Veronica. I let it go to voicemail. Then it rang again. And again. By the time I finished showering, there were 15 missed calls and a flood of frantic texts. Lucas, please call me. Everything's collapsing. My malpractice insurance is gone. Research access is cut off. Clients are calling, please. I drove to my office through Charlotte's morning traffic, my phone buzzing nonstop on the passenger seat. By the time I parked, the missed calls hit 43. At 9 a.m., she showed up. Lucas, you have to help me. Veronica burst in, looking desperate. Her polished demeanor was gone, replaced by panic. My databases are locked. I can't access case law. I have a brief due tomorrow and no way to write it. I looked up from my computer. That's a problem. This isn't a joke. I have clients relying on me. You should have thought of that before deciding you didn't need me. I made a mistake, okay? Saturday night was a mess. But you can't destroy my career because I hurt you. I stood and walked to my window, gazing at the city where I'd built my reputation without help. Veronica, do you know what a starter husband is? Don't. It's someone who supports you until you're ready for something better. Someone valued only for what they provide, not who they are. I turned to her. You were right. I was your starter husband. The foundation you built on until you were ready to move on. But here's what you missed. What? Remove the foundation and everything collapses. Her phone buzzed. She glanced at it and her face paled. That's probably the Bar Association, I said. They're concerned about lawyers who can't meet professional standards. You called the Bar Association? I didn't have to. When your insurance was canceled, they were notified automatically. Practicing without insurance is a major violation. She stared at me, finally getting it. Your starter husband wasn't just funding your lifestyle, Veronica. He was the foundation of your entire career. 3 months later, I read in a legal newsletter that Veronica Foster had shuttered her firm and taken a job as an associate at a small practice in Gastonia. Her starting salary was $48,000, less than half her monthly loan payments. Patricia Wright called once more, asking if I'd reconsider for the sake of the legal community. I told her the legal community should focus on verifying lawyers' financial stability before sending them clients. The divorce was finalized without a fight. Veronica couldn't afford to contest it. I kept the house, the one where I'd signed all those papers for her dreams. I turned her office into a library. Sometimes I sit there at night, reading books on business strategy and thinking about the line between partnership and exploitation. My consulting firm gained 3 new clients in the months after Veronica's firm collapsed. Apparently, being known as someone who doesn't tolerate being used is good for business. People respect firm boundaries. James Wright stopped representing me, citing his wife's connection to Veronica. I found a better lawyer anyway. Last week, I got a letter from Veronica. She wanted to apologize, she said. To explain she'd gotten caught up in trying to impress her peers and lost sight of what mattered. She hoped we could be friends someday. I tossed the letter without finishing it. Some bridges once burned aren't worth rebuilding. Some foundations once removed show exactly what they were holding up. I drive past her old office sometimes. It's a yoga studio now, better use of the space. Sometimes the greatest lesson you can teach someone is what they had before they threw it away.